Mr. Chairman, we're live. Okay, welcome everyone online and those in the audience. Today is Monday, October 21st. This is our weekly county commissioner meeting. This time I'll call the meeting to order, and if you'll rise and follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda. There's no additions or changes. I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for Monday, October 21st.
Second?
Who did second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're going to get right into it. First agenda item is an action item. These are the meeting minutes of October 15th. Everybody get a chance to look at those.
Did, and Doug made my corrections, so I would move that we approve the meeting minutes of October 15th.
Second.
Who did second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Get online here.
Okay, the next agenda item in your packet should be an amended shelter management agreement with McPaws.
Mr. Chairman, I sent that out. The daily rate, if an animal is at the facility for longer than 30 days, we had that amount not reflected accurately. It is actually $40 per day. And if the commissioners are inclined to approve the amendment, it is included in the new agreement that was emailed out. It's on page number 2.
On two? I guess when I read it, Doug, my only question is,
Subsection B, or under 3, subsection B.
Yeah, I read that. I'm good with it because all the rest was the same price as last year.
I guess my feeling on it is that the 12,000, the 25,000 should cover all of that as well. And I think it should be stricken from the agreement. Normally, after 30 days, if they haven't adopted it out, that should usually is euthanized.
Well, this is for dogs that we actually
Bring in.
bring in, like if it's,
So we're agreeing to them as keeping them forever and charging us $40 a day.
no.
After 30 days?
These are for dogs that if it's like an arrest, and then our sheriff's office have to impound that dog after an arrest, that's when the
Okay. So whether as a result of,
Clarity on that.
whether as a result of litigation or otherwise, maybe we could strike the word or otherwise. And just say as a result of litigation. I don't want to leave that open-ended to where they could store a dog for months. If it's a litigation case, then yeah, we should probably pay. But I think that's too broad. My own personal feeling. Whatever you guys want to do. You're the ones who will have to pay the
It
bills.
needs to have the words in there that if it's for, for a litigation case or something.
and it does reflect that it's
That's
again.
that's what I thought I read anyhow.
B. And I had a concern with it being forever, but their overall, mission is to adopt those dogs out and find a home.
Right.
And I don't think they're gonna keep one in there forever because it just doesn't meet their mission either, so.
You know what their
I'm
policy
okay with
is?
that.
How long they keep them?
No, but if you look at the actual chart, it's minimal at best.
Yeah.
So, I had that question too, but then I did read the litigation portion of it. So we can talk with her about that next year. Maybe that's one of the requests that we have is, tell us what the average length of stay is or something like that.
Mhm.
So if we need to amend it, then we can.
Well, I sure wouldn't leave it as open-ended as it is now.
Well, yeah, I'm reading it here. Anything longer than 30 days has to be a result of litigation or otherwise. I don't know what that otherwise means. County agrees to pay the $40 a day past the 30 days. Yeah,
So,
a little more clarity would be good.
We can leave it in and see how it works, and you guys come back next year with the, because you have to renew it every year, and if there's an issue, then you can change it then if you want to.
Be fine with that.
Okay, so then we need a motion to approve the amended animal shelter management agreement with McPaws.
I'll make a motion that we agree to the amended animal shelter management agreement with McCaws.
I'll second.
Who's the second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 So I will send an email to Courtney. You guys want me to do that and ask for further clarity
I think so,
moving forward?
at least on that piece.
Okay.
What is going on with this?
Doug, do you know, do they take like horses or bigger animals too?
I don't believe so, Mr. Chairman.
I gotta go down and disconnect and then reconnect it.
A little attention. Whoops. Morning, Brian.
Good morning.
How was the bird hunt?
It was good. Walked blisters into my places I've never had blisters before.
Very, very sorry to hear your other loss.
I don't mean to be laughing. I know that's just me, but
Don't you have a good dog to chase them down for you?
My two sons do, but they're pretty stingy about sharing.
so you have to hunt your own birds down after you shot them? Oh, nice. Nice.
We had a good time.
Okay, we're gonna move on. The next one is the juvenile detention agreement between Valley County and Ada County. I know you sent this, but I
Edie
can't-
sent us to it.
Who
Edie
did?
sent it.
It's in your
Last
packet
week
as
and-
well.
Should be in the packet, right?
You know what
We
Dee
just
Dee,
didn't have,
Dee Dee brought in to us or something?
And it was, Doug, you remember 260, oh, there it is. 260 something a day.
That's correct.
Where is that?
35,000 total. $236 per day.
236, you found it, huh?
ready for a motion?
Yep.
I would move that we approve and sign the juvenile detention agreement between Valley County and Ada County for fiscal year 2025.
Second.
Would you second all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll take their inmates, they can take our juveniles.
I was speaking with the commissioners because there was legislation they're trying to get passed regarding the state inmates. And I said, don't include us in that litigation because we want the inmates.
We do,
They asked, how many do you want?
as many as we can hold.
Yeah, as many as we can hold.
So I got something. Did I tell you? Thank you.
What'd
You
you do,
guys
Chuck?
help me with the water on lunch. I've got water in the back of my car.
Did you get a
one hand.
Oh, that's right, I'll have Elle tell me.
Did you get to talk to Fred or Ray about this?
I had
And it's
Jacob
like, I
down
don't know how
here.
to respond to that one.
And he looked at it, so.
Someone forwarded that to me and I can respond to
Talk to him almost daily anymore.
His adoption went through.
Kind of sounded like he,
Really?
On Wednesday.
doing a
Well, that's
FOIA.
exciting.
They're his now.
That's
it.
exciting.
Requesting the reports that I
I
have
did that
submitted
with our oldest
to
daughter.
Attorney
Never
General
had,
regarding
got pregnant in high school.
Okay.
the expenditures.
Opioids, yeah. He's asked Doug to send me the last
Very
three.
touching day.
I submitted to annual reports.
You know this guy?
Mr. Campbell, I talked to him on the phone a couple times, yes, sir.
We know him too. He's been in here a number of times to talk with us.
Did you get that? I want to make sure it got passed on.
I did send it to Doug this morning. And I did send information to Jim that says if you have any other information, please come talk to us. Like, did I take mute off on all those microphones now that I think about that?
And you got the bill from IAC.
Yesterday it was interesting, but we got an email from the commissioner's email that we deleted the Idaho Department of Lands subscriber preferences. You didn't do anything, did you?
What's that?
We get emails from the Idaho Department of Lands. Somebody went in and deleted us.
Yeah, I saw that, and I
Could you sign back
kept
up?
it because I wanted to
Yeah,
redo, and I don't know why they kicked us off.
I'll go ahead and make sure we get added back on.
was McKinsey on. So our next agenda item is an update for public relations from Mackenzie Kramer. Mackenzie, are you on?
She's not on yet. She should be joining.
Okay, we'll wait until she gets on.
Did she confirm she was going to be here? Send her a quick text.
Yeah, Idaho Department of Land subscriber deleted. I saved it because I wanted to resubscribe. Is that what you're doing?
Yep. Right now. That'll come into all of our joint email. Are you hopping
Mackenzie,
on
can
to
you
our-
hear us?
Oh, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There you
There
are.
you go.
Hey, there you are. Good morning.
Hello. I was like, I see you. I hear you. So, okay.
We're we're at your agenda item, so I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. I'm just going to do a quick overview of our analytics for the last 28 days. In terms of social media, we have had about 19,000 impressions and 1,200 engagements, meaning someone did something with it. They liked, commented, shared, did something like that. We're still at about a 6% engagement rate, which is actually pretty high for an industry standard. It's a little less than what we saw the previous 28 days, but we were also dealing with a lot of fire stuff, and that just naturally got, I think, more interaction. So I think we're pretty mainstream. I don't see any major issues with that. In terms of the website, again, the last 28 days, we have seen about 8,500 users, 7.5 of those being new. And I always find it interesting, but a lot of people are coming from the Treasure Valley. Our highest, like the city with the most people visiting our site is actually Nampa, followed by Boise, and then Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Seattle, and then McCall, and then Tempe, Arizona for some reason. That's a weird one. That doesn't usually pop in our stuff. So I don't know what's going on there, but there we go. Page-wise, what we're seeing people land on is, I think we're sort of back to our typical in terms of just like a normal month. We've got obviously the homepage. The assessor's office is the second most hit page this past 28 days. And then elections. There's a couple of election pages, which makes a lot of sense that is what people are looking for. Property assessment, sheriff's department, and then the transfer site. So I think that's pretty standard, pretty usual. So again, I think everything is pretty on par with that. Do you guys have any questions on either analytics, Facebook wise or website wise?
Analytic what?
Just about any of those analytics? No? Okay. I will say one of the other things, we've talked about it a couple of times, is getting our email system going again. And so that is set up. There was an issue with the sign up form not going directly into our MailChimp account. So that's been remedied. Right now we have just under 300 contacts in there. So one of my big pushes is to try to get that going. And my goal is to schedule at least 2, if not more, email blasts per month. So I've got one teed up right now that will go out next Monday that is specific to elections, which is just a plan your vote kind of email, how to like take advantage of in-person early voting while that lasts, where to return your absentee ballot, and then obviously all your polling locations and things like that. And then next week we'll have our Star News ad, and then that translates into what I would consider like the end of month newsletter. So that's kind of a standard piece there. If there's anything else you guys think we want to blast out, I mean, I look at doing that as a standard monthly newsletter, but also when important things pop up, or if there's a survey, if there's some sort of public input that we need, we can definitely utilize that better. So I'll probably start asking that from our departments when I check in with them each month as well.
That would be great. Getting that going, I think, is a huge win for the county.
Yeah.
Communication wise. I'd like to ask these other guys what their impression is too, but the ITD is removing dead trees along the road right now. So it's kind of front of mind again, but we have a lot of people with private land that is right next to ITD that have a lot of dead trees. I'm wondering if we should do something as a county for health and safety, please remove your dead trees, that type of thing, and try
You could probably
and
do that.
blast that,
Maybe through your Firewise people might push that too as well.
Yeah, and I could talk to Mara, but maybe if you were to make that, a message this fall before we start getting heavy snow again, to see if we could get people to, just south of Lake Fork. For some reason, they're all dying. It's like somebody sprayed Roundup on every one of them, and some of them are really in terrible shape, and they're right next to the road. So
It's not Roundup, it's that blue stuff off the highway.
Oh, well, some of it's clear at the back of the property even. I don't care about those, but the ones that could fall into the highway,
Yeah.
those are the ones that, we need to target. So stick that on.
There are a bunch of dead ones.
And then
Perfect.
I would really work with Larry and Parks and Rec because some of their grants that they require do require some public input. So that would be
Mhm.
great to ask people, that type of
Okay.
information before our grants go out. So.
Perfect. That also
Yeah.
reminds me, the Recreation Advisory Board strategic plan, we're working on beautifying that. So we're in sort of a round 2 draft of that. So
Nice.
I'm thinking that should be done fairly quickly for everybody to look at. And the only other thing that was on my list that I think Cinda was going to chat with you guys about it as well. After the Four Corners fire, we sent out a postcard to people in that affected area. And I know she and I had talked a little bit about updating that and doing that again for some of the wildfire activity here about insurance and, flood risk and things like that. So I'm not sure if that's been on your radar or not, but that was on kind of my to-do list to follow up with to see if we wanted to send something like that. So
He has that on at 1:00 for discussion.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. I didn't even see that on the agenda. So there we go.
So Mackenzie, and when people are calling in and they're hitting our website, is it mainly about recreation that they're wanting to know about, or are roads open, campgrounds? What are their primary questions?
Well, the thing that I can see when I look at the website is what pages are hit the most. And so it changes, I think, month to month. This past month, the biggest thing that they've been looking at is the assessor's office and elections. So if I can drill down into more content to see what people are looking at, but as I kind of scroll down, webcams are pretty big, online services. I think we have an interesting site because it's so big and so deep in terms of how much content is on there. For the most part, I think people are hitting our website more in terms of like county business kind of stuff, elections and assessors and property values and things like that. We can work to, like, if there's something specific you guys want to track, we can set up they're called events, where you set up some parameters in our Google Analytics that say we want to see, when, like, how many times someone clicks this and then what they do after. Or it could be a time on page. Another similar one is like, people that visit 3 or more pages, that is an analytic that you can set up to track, because if they're visiting 3 or more pages, they probably didn't just bounce in by accident. They are there for a purpose, digging deep and staying on your site to learn and find information. So we could look at some of those paths as well to just see how people are traveling through the website to get a better idea of what brings them to the site, but what do they stay for? Because I think sometimes that's not readily apparent in the top level analytics. So I can dig a little deeper into that to see if that would be helpful, or if there's specific pages you're interested in or content.
Mackenzie, this is Zelda. I think, and I'm not sure this is your function or maybe the rec department's function, but lately there's been a lot of questions from which roads are open and which aren't because of the fires. I don't know if there's a site you could access at Forest Service, or if rec department needs to do that, but we're getting a lot of questions about, hey, can we drive out to Warm Lake? Is that open? That kind of stuff. I'm not sure that's what your job is, I guess, is what I'm asking. But
Yeah, and it's hard because I was just looking at some of the, like, that GIS, like, hazards map, I think has been really, really useful when it comes to wildfire, but a lot of that data has to come from somewhere. And I don't know that the Forest Service is producing that kind of like data set that could be easily included in a map, but I'm wondering if that's something that we could work internally on, so that it's like a quick look.
Almost
You know
like
what, I think-
Juan should, have that information.
either Juan or the rec district should have access to that.
Yeah.
These roads are now open. Come on up. I know the fire camp is pulling out today, and they're leaving, so the season's kind of over as far as guys, manning the roads and making sure people don't drive up there. But there's a lot of hunters up here, kind of wandering around looking for a place to go, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
they call
fire,
us.
Boise National opened up the firewood permits and the roads aren't open.
The roads aren't open.
Yeah. That was
Gotcha. Well, even in the spring too, like what summits are open and things like that, I think would be helpful just so people don't get stuck. It like causes a lot of trouble.
Maybe that's something that Dan should be doing for the road department. He would probably have better access to that.
Or could at least work with the sheriff and, Juan.
Yeah, I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
know
let me
that
know. I'm happy to
trying-
keep in with that.
I'm trying to get Kara some information from ITD on
Mm-hmm.
stuff that she needs for roads also. But that would just be
Okay.
Highway 55, so.
Okay. Yeah, well, keep me posted or let me know how I can help. I'm happy to be in on the conversation to see how we can best present the information or where to put it. So.
One other thing, we need to kind of keep this in the back of our mind. All of a sudden, websites are getting very popular as far as being the communication tool. And
Mhm.
there's a potential push for all of our advertising to be within our own website. So we'll see what the legislature thinks of that this year. But even if not, how much of what we do is actually posted on the website? I mean, I'm assuming that all of our agendas and all of our minutes, everything else is posted there.
Yeah,
They're gonna,
all of that is.
is it in a central location? Because that's what they're gonna push for, is if voters get on, or if residents get on, they wanna know all the agendas for all of our individuals in one spot.
Our website is set up like that. I think the new website does a good job. Like the meeting dashboard shows every board, every meeting. You click into it and it's got every, the agendas, but also supporting documents and things like that. And then we have our news section on the home page, which I think right now we don't have anything current because we have tried to be better about setting things to expire so they don't just linger on the website. But there's a lot of good places for that. And then even just events and meetings, there's a list in terms of, the date in which they occur. So it's pretty easy to find that information on our website. I would say our site actually does a really good job of that.
Okay, perfect. I think it will be expanded because like all of our postings we do in the newspaper right now, they're trying to do away with that because some counties are spending thousands of dollars a month on newspaper advertising, which,
Oh, yeah.
for us small communities, I think it would be important that we continue to support our newspaper, but also maybe replicate that information on our website. But that is something.
Yeah.
Well, you
Okay.
know, I think from what I've kind of ferreted out on that too, Sherry, is that if a newspaper also has a website, that you can go that direction and not pay those printing costs. It's a cheaper form. And I bet that's where we end up with the newspaper. Somewhere in the middle where they're going to put it on their website. Or
The legislative committee has a whole
Yeah,
legislative.
it's going to be a tough
proposal
one.
That's coming, but yeah, will be interesting. And then also, they're advising that we link to Transparency Idaho. I mean, that's where Brandon Wolf, he has put every single thing to do with county and city government is transparent and open, shows all of our budgets, shows all of our salaries, shows everything. That might be a good link for people too.
Okay, perfect. Just add that to my list here. There we go. Okay, perfect.
Okay, if there's nothing else, Mackenzie, thank you. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you in a few more weeks.
Hey, have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, our next agenda item is an action item. This is a discussion or decision regarding preparing a factual letter for Valley County EMS supplemental levy. In your packet, you have 2 letters. I think either one would probably work for me.
I'm sorry, but we just got it this morning. I read the second one.
Well, let's
yet.
take the
Give us
time.
just
We
a
have-
second.
We have 15 minutes.
So now that we're not the board of the EMS district, can we take a stand one way or another? That's what I thought. So one of these letters is urging our voters to support, and we can't do that.
I think
We
both
have
of
to
them.
give factual information and not show a letter of support.
How come, can we do it individually, Brian?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the
know, Idaho law has very specific requirements for public use of funds to advocate for candidates on the ballot or EMS levy like you have here. You're restricted to providing factual information, and that's it. So I'm back here reviewing these option 1 and option 2, and in my opinion, these are more advocacy than they are factual. And so with some edits, you can certainly publish something that's factual. What I'm looking for when it comes to factual documents is something along the lines is how much you're spending on an ambulance, how much it costs for 3. You put the actual numbers out there. If you individually want to, on your own time, not using county resources, your letterhead, even your commissioner title, put some sort of an advocacy piece together, you're certainly are okay to do that.
So Brian, my letter supporting the sheriff candidate last week was improper because I use.
Well, so the law doesn't specifically prohibit you from doing that. It actually says you don't cede your First Amendment right as a commissioner, and so you can send a letter to the editor. I think as a matter of caution, I would be very careful about using titles.
Appreciate that.
Thanks. But what a letter to the editor supporting a candidate is certainly okay.
And I would back that up, because when you're using commissioner, especially chairman, you're speaking for the board, and that without that vote, you don't have the authority.
That's where you enter into some gray area that you need to be very careful about. And same with this issue here with the EMS levy. If we can compile some factual data about what the budget is, what the current budget is, what the current overall costs are, what the needed revenues are to maintain the status quo for services, then you've complied with the law. You can as a board put your names behind that. But to urge voters to support a ballot measure would be in violation of that ethics and government statute.
We can do that as a board with that, just a piece.
So long as it's purely factual
Strictly fact.
and neutral in the way that you present that to the voters.
So what about if we send this to Mackenzie and have her clean this up, run it by Brian before we post?
And then put it on the agenda for
And
next
then-
week for approval.
We could do that.
The other thing that it's interesting, we had Health District Friday, and there's a lot of people watching this election across the state. But there is a county, Elmore County, in fact, that has gone a different direction, and they received a grant to expand their EMS services, where paramedics are going into homes to monitor diabetes issues, heart issues. It's kind of like a traveling doctor, so to speak, but it's done at the paramedic level.
Right.
And it's saving a lot of money from people having to come into ER to get that same exact treatment, and it's been a huge success. And now we're looking at trying to figure out a way we could fund it through the health districts to get people paramedics out into the community to check on, especially the older folks. But
Right.
we're missing a potential here that we could really expand the EMS to do a lot more good
Yeah.
and save money down the road. But
Well, are they doing that with a grant though?
yeah, it's a grant through, in fact, the gal that does this, Elmore County just got Paramedic of the Year. And she actually is kind of like a traveling doctor. She deals a lot with elderly, a lot with diabetes, foot problems, all that kind of stuff. Nutrition is a huge part of it. What are you eating that's making you have this reaction, that kind of stuff. And people are really liking it. And I keep thinking, boy, if we could do that up here somehow, and then they're able to bill for that as well. So there's a revenue stream coming in for it as well. And that's the goal right now, is to get it to where it's self-sustaining. Right now it's not, but I think with some tweaks, they could make
Yeah.
that almost a sustaining project.
I mean, obviously, emergency medical services is an important issue for all Valley County residents. We're all impacted by it one way or the other. Just be mindful of the ethics requirements that you have to follow for purposes of neutrality, and be factual and not advocate for a specific outcome. And then you've met the requirements of the law. But yeah, it sounds like there's some good ideas for, the evolution of the services that this district can provide.
Well, and I think it's kind of a revolutionary idea to go send somebody back out and meet the public instead of the public having to drive up to the hospital for every problem they have. And
One thing
country doctors.
One thing we can do is send the statute back around to each of you just as a reminder, but also send it to Mackenzie. So she's going to put together this information piece, then she'll have the benefit of the statute that she can review and comply with. And as always, we're happy to review it and look at it. So,
I already forwarded those letters to her and asked her to go or to
Yep.
review that with you, so.
okay, sounds good.
Hey, thanks, Brian. So I guess the action item today would be just to postpone this until next week for the 28th. And you'll have a chance to look at it. Sure, you're not going to be here, right? So you can look at it during the week or whenever you get it. And thumbs up or down. Okay, if there's no more on that, we're going to keep right on going to our next agenda item, which is the Ag Preservation Ordinance. And I think that was sent out in your packet.
I put this on there because we're running out of time. We've got to come up with what the plan is. So this is a workshop around, what some ideas are and how we can meet the legislation. And I am trying to pull up that ordinance. Brian has already sent it to us a few times. So the biggest thing is that this is supposed to go through us, not supposed to go through planning and zoning for approval. I think we should come up with something maybe and shoot it back there and just let them look at it maybe, for their input. But I also think the ag preservation is a large conversation. I mean, in my opinion, this does nothing to encourage agricultural preservation. I think this is probably step one of what they want to do in the future at the legislative level. I don't know. I haven't seen any legislation coming through this year. I don't know what they're going to do with this thing, but we have certain requirements that we have to meet. And Brian, you've sent that. I don't have it up in front of me. I apologize. Maybe I should have sent that again to all of us, but let me look really quick.
It's in the bottom of your packet in that APA.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, did I send
And I'm looking at
send it on?
all the different sections.
Yeah, it's got,
And I kind of agree with Sherry. I think there's something that's going to be coming in the future to create that incentive.
Yeah.
This is just to get the door open and
So
get it on the books.
So my thoughts on the matter is that the Association of Counties has generated a model ordinance for the counties to consider. I think that's a really good first step for you to look at that and see if it's going to work for Valley County or what adjustments you'd like to see made. The one thing I would certainly I think is going to be critically important in coming up with an ordinance that's going to work is make sure that this ordinance, any definitions or terms that are used in this ordinance is going to match what we already have in the comprehensive plan and other ordinances that refer to agriculture. So you want to marry those together, spend some time cross-referencing and making sure that those definitions match. I haven't spent the time yet to do that myself, but that's kind of going to be one of the areas of attention that I will spend some time. As you all know, we have counties in Idaho that are probably more heavily dependent on agriculture as an industry than Valley County. It's a smaller part of this county, but it is an important part of all 44 counties, which is why I think you're seeing this legislation come through the state. So, but anyway, I think if you want to just use that model ordinance and then tweak it to make it customizable for Valley County, I think that's the first step. The other thing, as you know, it requires is a commission to be appointed. So that needs to be thought through, and that's a task that needs to be completed by December 31st as well, because the expectation is, at least as it's defined in the ordinance, says that we should be ready and prepared to take applications by January 1. That means you've got an ordinance in place, you've made whatever changes to your comp plan you need to make, and you've got a commission set, seated, and a process. There should be forms created as well. That's something I think that we can help with in our office. Application forms for application in the ag protection areas, as would be contemplated by the ordinance. So
Brian, if they, I read this whole thing yesterday, and it was kind of vague, but it looked like it was a start of what they were wanting to do. But
yeah,
say me as a rancher or a farmer want to set my ground aside for 20 years, I mean, nobody could develop on it for 20 years as long as he owned it.
right.
As far as putting development housing or whatever else, it would stay ag or timbered or whatever.
Right. I think the part two of this ordinance that we don't really know what ultimately the intent is or what's coming is how that would affect the surrounding or adjacent land uses for those. I mean, it's pretty clear. If you want a petition to be in an agricultural protection zone, then then you're in for a certain amount of time, and it's going to stay in agriculture for that period of time. But the question is, how does that impact adjacent landowners, if at all? And so I guess maybe the legislature will weigh in on that, or you as the county commission can look at how you want your development ordinances modified. And
So Brian, I guess my big question, I've had this in my head for many, many years, is the definition of a farm. It talks in here about 5 acres or greater, but unless you're a nursery, it's pretty hard to make much money on 5 acres of ground. And we've been trying to convince like the soil conservation district stuff to go to where a certain percentage of your income comes off that property, whether it's more than 50%, then you are actually a real farmer. You're dependent on that. And I don't know if we have the authority to manipulate that definition. According to the code, it's kind of written pretty solid that anybody that has 5 acres could do it.
yeah, we can't redefine definitions that are already defined in the statute.
Right.
But as you point out, Commissioner, there seems to be 50 different definitions of what agriculture is, depending on the program. FSA has a definition for financial support, and NRCS has a different definition, and sometimes the state has different definitions as well. So,
With all the farmers markets though, 5 acres, you can grow a lot to sell at a farmer's market.
with specialty crops being an emerging market for a lot of smaller farmers, I guess the attitude, the prevailing opinions about what farming and agriculture is and can be is different than the traditional.
Well, and the reason I want to go back to an income base is because a lot of people use the farm to write off income from another entity, another business they own.
Right.
We see it all over the valley up here now, different pasture rates depending on if you're trying to make money or lose money.
Right.
And I don't think that's really fair or equitable.
Right.
One thing I like about this is 5 acres or more, it may reduce lot splits. People that have 5 acres in timber, they may decide to enroll in this, and then it's going to be a little harder to come back and split that.
Well, I'm only guessing. So take that for what it's worth. But what this appears to me, what's motivating this at the state level, not at the county level, is I think a trend that is concerning to the agricultural industry, where you have encroachment into agricultural areas that have been traditionally zoned agriculture. And so you have in typical Euclidean zoning type counties where they have agricultural zones, it only takes an application to the Planning and Zoning Commission to have that rezoned into rural residential, and then that allows sprawl into those agricultural areas. This will, again, I'm guessing, I think what they're trying to curb there is if the landowner wants to protect that, then it won't be rezoned. But there again, it kind of leaves you scratching your head, because landowner controls that. It would only be the landowner that would petition the Planning and Zoning Commission to rezone from an agricultural zone to a residential zone in a zoning area. So again, the author of the bill would be someone that we could maybe reach out to and say, what is it that this was designed to do, so we can carry forward the intent behind this and make sure that we give it some meaningful place in our ordinance and comprehensive plan that would work here for Valley County.
So is this something that we will have to adopt? What's the state?
We are required to, yes. All 44 counties are required to do this.
I have to have
Cindy,
enough
have you had a
money
chance to look at any of this?
Can
Have
I-
you?
I want to ask Brent, or can I
Sure,
talk to
for
Brian
sure.
first before we go to Cindy? I'm concerned about this in Valley County because it specifically states, one of the two things it specifically states is designate agricultural protection areas on future land use planning maps.
Mhm.
We don't have I guess we kind of have a future land use planning map, but we're not zoned.
Right.
And so does this apply differently to the two counties in Idaho that are not zoned?
Yeah.
We're going to have to do some kind of a overlay
Yeah.
or, something along that area. And so that's a whole nother process
Yeah.
that planning and zoning hasn't gotten to yet on the comp plan that they are currently rewriting. And we have a date certain that we have to have this done.
Right.
So at this board level, do we have to go into our future land use maps right now and, put blobs on them with areas that we see? Because that's a lot of work.
Yeah. So I think this is an area of discussion that needs to take place between now and the time that you finalize your ordinance and how that's going to apply. But that's why I said in the beginning, where I think the question that has not been answered by this new statute is how this is going to affect adjacent landowners adjacent to these blocks of land that are going to petition for this protection. To
And
me,
Brian, I think
that's the purpose of the map, is that you're providing the public with, here's the map, here's the blocks of land who have petitioned for designation of ag protection. So you can see, whether or not the parcel that you own or are inquiring about buying will be affected. But again, I don't know that that's correct or not.
I know that it was addressed at IAC when this came out, that this is specifically not impacting
To affect adjacent
the
landowners.
areas. Yes. This is specific to wherever that farmer wants.
Yeah.
It's not specific to his neighbors.
And to
I was
the
trying
extent
find
that's
that.
the case, it's kind of a head scratcher what this accomplishes then.
Yeah, and I think that when we talk about who's going to do this, maybe it should be the Soil and Water District. We could ask them to be that board because they're the ones that are that work with
Right.
the ag,
Yeah.
or the ag agencies, I guess, but also the local farmers a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe that is something within their board that they could help try and, figure out how to do
Put
this.
some meat to the bones. I'm glad we're talking about this now because I think there's more questions than answers related to this statute and what we're required to do. I mean, it's pretty clear what the minimum requirements are. We've got to have a commission appointed. We've got to have an ordinance in place and an ability for us to take applications from landowners who want to be to be designated in this, but it just kind of stops there. And I don't, I can't really envision what the net effect of that's going to be for these landowners. But if we, kind of get Soil and Water Conservation District and other people who might be interested in this issue around a table to kind of figure out how best to make this work for our county, which is, kind of a minor agricultural county, but it does include timber. So,
Maybe we have one member from the Soil and Water District and try and create two other additional members.
Yeah.
Um,
3 or 5?
I can't
3 to
remember.
5.
It's either
Minimum
or.
of 3, yeah, 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Soil and Water District, I mean, they're dealing with other things. I think they should have a voice at the table
Yeah.
for this. But I also have, concerns because right now we have an ordinance that says that we're going to try and preserve ag ground, shove our subdivisions to the outside.
Correct.
That needs to be rewritten, in my opinion, because I don't think we should be shoving all of our development into the WUI. But that also speaks to this. So,
Yes.
I mean, if we're going to create a map by the end of December that shows where all of our ag preservation is, we need to be sensitive to what's currently being farmed, maybe currently where the water rates are. We are way behind the 8 ball on this. We should have already started this months ago because with 60 days in front of us, there's going to be some amendments, I have no doubt, in the first quarter of next year.
Well,
I think it's going to be fairly easy as far as actual egg producers. Where the conflict is going to come is somebody that has more than 5 acres of timber ground. Because, they're including timber as egg. And so is that a tree plantation? Like it's say that's an egg use. But if you've got a 10-acre parcel around Cascade or McCall Lake with a giant cabin on it, are you ag?
Yeah.
Because you got more than 5 acres? You're not harvesting, you're not doing anything with it, but according to this, we have to consider that.
well, and make sure that it is synchronized with our property tax assessment
Right.
process, as well as our comprehensive plan and the ordinances that we currently have in place. That's, I think, is where the heaviest lift is going to be. The statute lays out specifically, you've got these steps that you got to take and have that done by January 1, but make sure that you're taking into account your existing ordinances and trying to marry that up together. That's a task that I think would be very helpful or beneficial to have your Planning and Zoning Commission help with that lift if you wanted to, or even this commission, this Ag Protection Commission, if we've got time to get those members selected and give them that task so they can make a recommendation back to the board on how all that's going to work. So I'm taking some time from Cindy. So
I think if we meet the 2 requirements, do the commission and put some blobs on the map. I mean, this can be an evolution, I believe. And I'm wondering if we don't put somewhere in our ordinance, I guess we can't do it in ordinance, but we really need to bring the Payette Land Trust into this in some way and make people aware that there's a different way that you can put your property into preservation with conservation easements.
if that was the goal, and it could very well be, to make it more likely that development rights would be sold, marketable, attractive to a private group like the Payette Land Trust, then maybe that's the motivation behind it.
Maybe we should put Payette Land Trust has 1 seat. The soil conservation soil has 1 seat. and then leave one seat open for,
Yeah.
is there still a farmers group up here or?
Irrigation.
Farm?
Irrigation districts, it's kind of a weak group of Payette River cattlemen's that they kind of come and go.
If there's something up here like Farm Bureau, if they have an actual entity up here, maybe they have one seat and we just do 3. I don't think we're gonna have any, I can't imagine somebody putting their ground away for 20 years.
As the statute's currently written, that's the head scratcher for me too, is what's the motivation for a landowner to petition to be in this, because it just appears to lock it up for 20 years without much of a benefit back to the landowner. So the incentive the incentive just isn't there.
Where this would work for a big landowner is if you had a 100-acre parcel and you put 95 acres and you say 4 corner lots and didn't enroll those, that value of those 4 lots goes way up. Because you know you're not going to have development next to your house for 20 years.
Right.
And that's the same way it works on the conservation easement.
Mhm.
And they keep certain parts out that they develop
Right,
to supplant the income.
right.
But I think, Cindy, if we have wetlands delineated, we have the floodplain delineated, this to me is going to be just another color on that map of ag ground that is devoted to ag. I'm just trying to think how it could bite us down the road.
It's not gonna bite us, it's gonna bite, is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
So first off, I think the motivation behind this is, if you think back to when this was originally proposed, and it said that the ag lands that were put into these ag protection zones would not increase in value. I think that was the first motivation. And then I think the second motivation, they're trying to maintain their value. I think that, because they took that out, and I think that will be phase 2. That, and then there are some people that want to put a value to the development rights, and then if they put it into this ag protection zone, then they can sell those development rights to somebody else that wants to develop their property. So it would be a moneymaker for the people that put it into these ag protection zones, similar to a TDR.
And I wonder too, Cinda, if an ag guy wanted to put it into a trust and create that base value, that would help get a lower value to his farm or his ranch. So that if estate taxes kick in later on, 20 years later, whenever it's sold, there's a lower value to that. So that brings his basis down.
Yes.
Because right now I think it's 12 million in value, and then you pay 48% in tax after that.
I think that's the motivation behind this,
I think it is too.
is those 3 things.
So I think that's the incentive behind it. The motivation is to protect Idaho from losing all of our agricultural base. This is huge for counties where this is their main economy still. That's not necessarily true in Valley County.
Maybe not the motivation, but the carrot.
Yeah, the incentive behind it, yeah.
So, and then, just to respond to that, the other thing is we are zoned, we have one zone. That's multiple use. So we do have a zone. I think what this is calling for is, you're gonna do your ordinance. You're going to, and we'll need to update our comp plan, just to put a section in here for the ag protection, what's it called? Ag protection areas, not specific areas, but we need to define in our comp plan that there are ag protection areas. And in the future, when they are in place, it will be placed upon the map within the comp plan.
So Cinda, so my question on that is this. The law specifically states, designate agricultural protection areas on future land use planning maps.
Where's that at in here?
Well, it's in the information that we were sent by IAC. That's one of the requirements. Each county is required to do the following. Establish an agricultural protection area commission to receive, review, and process agricultural protection area applications, and designate agricultural protection areas on future land use planning maps. So we have one zone, multi-use, The only way that that is changed is through a CUP.
Okay, I did not get that,
Okay.
what you got from IAC. If you can send that to me.
It's on the very
Because-
first page, if that's what.
I didn't get, I printed this off this
Oh.
morning.
It's in our packets, and I think you guys are getting all of the packets along with the information now.
Okay.
I can send along right now, but
Um,
yeah. So,
Because what I see in here, it says, I just had it. So you have to, I guess you'll have to identify eligible land, is that what you're? So lands that would be eligible, I mean, if you define it as things that are categorized 1 through 7 at the assessor's office, that's what we do for ag building permits, is there are categories at your assessor's office. That's what Oki was talking about, where we have to integrate all of the different departments into that. So we already have it categorized. We just don't have a big map showing it.
Showing it, yeah. The other thing that it states is there's got to be a county department or official to receive the application.
Right? You'll have
And then
to,
I'm assuming you would forward that to the Hague Committee and they would determine, yeah, this is acceptable, we're going to take it, or no, it's not.
right, well, you need to identify what department's going to do that.
And my question to you, is this something that planning and zoning, is a planning and zoning function is something you would be willing to take on?
But yeah, if you want me to be the staff person for the Ag Protection Commission also, in addition to the Planning and Zoning Commission. That's up to you how you want to do that. There was a model ordinance that was sent out.
Yep.
There was some words I was looking for here that I just read.
so the model ordinance that you have, is that from IAC?
I believe it is.
So then that's
It
where,
was the one that was sent out by Latah County.
yeah, which I believe that they use the
Yeah.
IAC. So that's where it talks about that. I'm concerned that we are going to be able to meet the law with the fact that, you know, we're an unzoned county. Only, I think, 2 of us, and I think the ordinance, I think the law was written as a normal zoned county. And so I think, you know, I don't know who's gonna take this one, but this is gonna be a heavy lift. And I think this needs to be on the agenda for the next 8 weeks. Something needs to happen every week toward resolution on this so
So,
that we meet the deadline.
Well, I think we could go ahead and maybe perhaps approve the kind of the general aspect of what they're trying to do, get it built into the comp plan, and there's a kind of an example already shown there, and see if anybody even applies.
right,
It may not ever get applied for, nobody want to do it.
because this says you have to include it on the map when it's approved.
So you wouldn't need
if you have-
GIS or any of that until somebody comes in and applies for it. It may never happen.
Right, you could define it. I mean, does it say it has to be, do we have to create a new, do we have to, I don't have those words, Sherry, that you
Well,
have.
it specifically says designate ag protection areas on future land use planning maps. So it doesn't, maybe,
Well, that
we
could
could
be the
read that.
irrigated lands to start with.
or maybe we can read that after application, we designate the ag grounds on future land planning maps.
Well, that's what the statute, I was reading that from the statute. So I'm not sure what you have there. The statute says limitation,
Here, let me print it and you can read. You know, and I don't, this is really, I know that other counties are trying to get their planning and zoning departments to do this, but I don't know that this is really Cinda's function. She's got a lot on her plate right now without this, so this is.
I think it says it can't, it's not supposed to be your
it's
planning
not
and zoning
supposed to be
commission.
planning and zoning, that's,
I mean,
Does it say that?
I think we're gonna see ranchers and farmers come in and say, what benefit does this do me to do this? They're gonna wanna know. Other than somebody coming in and say, I just don't want no building out here, so I'm gonna do this. Well,
well, and if,
you
so.
know,
Well, that's up to them to put their property into it.
Tough one.
Well, and also, I like the idea, we've got to get, the assessor's, opinion of what's ag ground, but if there's a house on it, they automatically take 1 acre out for residential use. So if you've got a house and 10 acres, what's the other 9 acres being used for?
Yeah, I'll give that to her.
So if we were to start just going through, matter of fact, probably should print.
Well, really, if you think about
Statute
it,
says,
we should probably be doing this now for all the ground that's in conservation easements.
Yes.
That should at least be on a map now, those signed contracts.
Well, I mean, if you look at, honestly, what is being assessed as ag, probably should be on a map somewhere, because that does make a difference.
so when I read this statute, 679704-3, it says, agricultural protection areas shall be designated on future land use planning maps to serve as a voluntary and expeditious tool for working landowners, blah, blah, blah. So it's not an agricultural protection area until the owner designates it through the process. So I don't see that we can predetermine
Right.
which ones are going to be agricultural protection areas on maps. That's my point, is I don't know why it's gonna be such a heavy lift.
Wait for the petition to come
Right.
in.
And then you put it on your map.
Update the map after it's been approved.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, because you don't, I mean, we can make a provision in our comp plan for agricultural protection areas in a map that shows Valley County. And then when we get these applications in and they're approved, then you go each time, amend your comp plan to put that on the map.
So send on other counties where they're already zoned and they have agriculture areas and they're all, zoned counties. How does that affect them with this?
Well, that
Yeah,
depends
they're
upon how they
zoned as
write their
agricultural.
ordinance. They might allow ag protection areas on agricultural or large other rural parcels, depending upon the zone. Depends upon how they write their local ordinance. It doesn't have, nothing in here, in my opinion, says it has to be zoned agricultural before you put it into an ag protection area.
Right.
You don't do it until you get an application and it gets approved.
And then you put it on your map.
And
So
the
then
only
the-
benefit I could see is people that maybe want a developers or something like that want a developer gonna see on a map, oh, this piece of ground's in an APA or a land trust, we're not even gonna go look at that. That to me is about the only reason for doing
Yeah,
this.
well, they're not gonna buy it, but then the adjacent land, if a farmer wants to, like you said, increase the value of one piece of his property, he puts this into an ag protection zone, which immediately might increase the value of 10 acres he holds out that he's going to plat lots around, so they forever have this huge open space.
But why wouldn't you do it as a conservation easement and get paid? I mean, that's just, it doesn't make
Because
sense.
20
to me
years from now,
whatsoever.
it'll pop out, or I don't,
Yeah.
because they're going to do TDRs, they're going to decrease, they're going to freeze the cost of the valuation of ag lands.
They're going to try.
Right. But that's what was originally in this, and then they took it out.
I wonder too if there's some protection from, let's say ITD wants to come in and put 2 more lanes on Highway 55 and they need to take ag ground. Would that, I
That
don't
would
know
be
if that would
eminent
stop
domain.
it or not, I doubt it. They would just do it through eminent domain anyway. So I don't think there's any benefit to having an APA zone next to a highway or even a county road.
So,
Quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite, yeah.
Eminent domain, you're gonna get appraised value.
Yeah.
If you're locked in at ag values, then it's gonna be
Get a
less.
low value.
I think there was originally a carve out for roads.
so and then when you go out into the timbered areas, there's, I mean, a lot of people they plant trees and maintain that forest productivity appraised value. So I think we need to marry this ordinance with the appraisals definitions and the comprehensive plan.
And the only reason they're doing that is to get a lower valuation on that piece of ground. It's
Yes.
not because they're a farmer.
That's true. But if they're categories 1 through 7, we issue ag permits. Yeah.
Where I think your definitions are gonna have to come into play, how we're gonna
Yeah.
define agriculture. Does it mean that you are at least providing some income, whether it's your primary source of income or you are harvesting logs and taking it to the mill?
And I think the way
generate
to,
revenue?
the way to do that is annual income. Because a lot of the smaller forest projects, you might go 30 years before you ever go in and log it.
But I think they do it under forest productivity
Yeah, so
plans.
high class, low class, commercial.
I know on our part, on Cabarton, used to have a beautiful view until the value got high and then planted trees and blocked the view.
Like, I mean, do these guys, I mean, like,
What does it say in here that
we were
we
wiring a house out there
have P and Z do?
across from Bill Willie's place. He decided to log a bunch of his timber, but he also has a lot of pasture.
So this is the ordinance.
This ordinance have to designate
Pull up the actual law.
timber ground is one piece and the ag
That's-
ground is another piece?
It depends upon the application submitted by the landowner. I mean, does he want the ag ground, the farm ground, and the timber in the same ag protection area?
It's kind of up to
It's
them.
up to the landowner. So I don't think we need to we need to get busy on this. But I don't see that it's impossible to do before the deadline.
And I don't see, I still haven't found where we can't use planning and zoning to do this.
Yeah, we can't.
We can or can't?
And not.
Where does it say that?
She's standing right there.
No.
Because I said it that
Because 679705,
679705.
and that designates county farm bureaus, irrigation districts.
It just seems crazy to me. It's the P and Z's ordinance that has to be changed and comp plan, all that has to be done
No, just a comp plan.
through P and Z. Why would you not let P and Z do it all? This is no different than a floodplain or a wetlands delineation to me. I just can't.
Members may include representatives from soil conservation districts, cattlemen's associations, farm bureau board, irrigation districts, or water users associations.
Okay.
Not all the P and Z commissioners meet any of those. So you're gonna need a
think-
commission.
So what I think it's saying is that the Planning and Zoning Commission cannot be the ag.
Can't be the board
Yeah,
to approve the up or down on the application.
I think it also means that when you do receive an application, it's this board that has to make the decision whether it meets the requirements or not.
Oh, not the,
Yeah, they'll have to bring
And
the
do a
petition, the
recommendation.
application to the county commissioners, the board, and then you'll have to make the decision.
Final decision.
kind of like a recommendation up or down from the board.
Yeah, they can, I think P and Z can probably make a recommendation to the board if that's what you want to do, or you can have it come directly to you.
Well, it'd have to go to the Ag Protection Commission and then the P and Z Commission and then
Actually,
the board.
Correct.
But then you
I think
have a
that's
timeline, 60 days timeline in here.
Yeah,
I think that's clunky. I think you leave P and Z out of that process, or out of that.
But it doesn't mean, the comp plan needs to incorporate that. But it
Right.
doesn't mean the Planning and Zoning Department can't be the administrators of it. It just means the
Right.
Planning and Zoning Commission.
Because if there's any ordinance change, that's gonna come through your department anyhow.
yes.
Yeah, that works.
Recommendation.
So we're making some decisions. So the recommendation would be that P and Z function as the admin,
Okay? Unless Doug wants to do it.
as admin. I'm sure he does not.
Cindy, would you recommend that we, kind of like we do a P and Z commissioner, where we go out and see if anybody's interested in serving on this board?
Yeah, you're gonna need to create some interest in this position. I would start with your Valley Soil Water Conservation District, your irrigation district, your Farm Bureau, and your Cattlemen's Association, like it says in here. And I don't see that this commission is going to be extremely busy, but we need to have everything in place and be able to call them to have a meeting. It doesn't, I need to read, I don't think it has to be a regular meeting, because if you're meeting for nothing, it's,
Yeah, for open meeting purposes. Yeah, if you're deliberating towards a decision, you have to meet open meeting requirements. If you're just having a workshop, you should be okay.
no, what I was saying was the Ag Protection Commission
Oh,
doesn't have to have regular meetings because they might not have an application in
Gotcha.
front of them.
okay, I misunderstood. Yeah, I don't see that there'd be a need to meet monthly. If there's nothing to consider.
Okay, so if we take this ordinance, well, first off, we do some verbiage to amend our comp plan. Along with this ordinance, I mean, you can take it through Planning and Zoning Commission review and the Board of County Commissioners, I mean, in a timely manner. I don't know that it'll happen before the end of the year now, but we'll get there. And so the comp plan, this ordinance, all at the same time. And then appoint your Ag Protection Commission, get 3 people lined up.
I'm wondering if we don't try and do the Ag Commission right now. Just get that done first and let them have input into finalizing the ordinance, getting the forms in place, let them be their first responsibilities is actually putting this in place by the end of the year.
Good idea.
You think that's a good idea, but they won't have any idea how to do that.
They won't, but you're gonna have some support with planning and zoning, and they can talk to us too, but
Planning and
I
Zoning
think,
Commission's not involved.
well, anytime you want to engage somebody and get them engaged and keep them engaged, you gotta give them jobs. And so if we do all the work and then say you're gonna meet when you get an application, they're not, tuned into what's happening.
Well, that's what this is saying, is that appoint an Agricultural Protection Area Commission to receive, review, and process agricultural protection area applications. So it'll be those guys.
Part of its duties, the
That'll be
commission
part of
shall
their duties to do.
They shall provide for meetings and hearings to obtain advice on the agricultural needs of the county. So they may have, irregular meetings, maybe quarterly.
Mhm.
They may also conduct informal meetings with public officials and agencies, ag professionals, ed professionals, and other organizations to evaluate the agricultural needs of the county. I just had a thought, why don't we put extension on that board? Why not have Melissa either do it or appoint somebody out of extension? Because they're dealing with the ag needs of the
Well,
county.
Well, this says Valley Soil Water Conservation District, Cadwins, County Farm Bureau, irrigation districts, or
Says-
Water Users Association
It says
Board.
may include. Doesn't say has to include.
Okay. If,
I think if
that was just my reading of it.
So if none of them want to be involved.
then, it says may include, then we get 3 other members and
We put Mara on, she's not doing much.
or Neil.
Well, that's what's kind of going through my head is we really need somebody from the timber side, that, because they're going to know which pieces of property have been harvested and replanted, and it's actually a tree farm, so to speak. Like in my case, I'm a tree farm because I planted,
Oh, good, you're on it.
thousands and thousands of trees over the years.
There we go.
They're the only ones that are going to know that information.
She's retired.
Is there a timber association up here?
No, I'm thinking no. But I'm thinking of somebody like Stephanie or John Lillyhog or somebody that knows the history of that piece of property.
John's on the Valley Soil.
And John's on Valley Soil, he would be probably one that I would heavily lean towards. Almost any farmer that's got a water right is going to be part of a ditch company.
So if you want to adopt the commission to work with me and legal counsel,
He heard you.
get this in order, then we can,
I don't know,
I mean-
I feel like we're getting the cart before the horse. We need to get the ordinance in the
I would
our
hope,
plan and all that and then establish it.
well,
That's
I mean,
going to
if
be.
you
I'm
want
gonna disagree
them
with
part
you.
of it. Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree.
But what are these guys gonna do? They don't have any authority to do anything until you get it in the
This
ordinance.
leaves a lot hanging out there.
It does, but we have to make a decision today on the first step, because that's,
The concept.
yeah, well, you've got to get something going. I mean, now we're to the 1st of November, and so we have literally 60 days, and we have to have a public hearing as part of this. You know, you got to establish the board.
And we're gonna do public hearings to change the comp plan.
Yes, you got to have,
So it's not gonna happen by December 31st.
well, that's a problem. We are not.
No,
gonna
but we need to show that we've
intent of the
started.
board Or the
I
law
think
then.
if we show intent before we run out of time, we're usually okay. They're not gonna come down on us if we're working on it, but
So it has specific verbiage that if you do not meet the
dub,
deadline.
any Christmas. Could have made it harder.
Yeah, because I think we need to make the deadline.
Well, I don't know that it's possible, because you have to have 2 public hearings to change our comp plan. And you can't notice for the boards until the recommendation is made by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
About what happens though if you don't meet the deadline.
What happens?
I will find that. I'm
I
not
don't see
certain.
it on here, but
Well, we know we could probably do the commission pretty easy. It's getting the ordinance in before January 1 of 25 is gonna be the challenge. The other thing that I think is interesting is you're gonna have commission members that are gonna retire or die, or you gotta have a process to replace them as well.
Bylaws.
Yeah, so that you're looking at a lot of work just to set that all up. And
This
then it's
doesn't
got-
say if there's a penalty.
Probably gonna be an appeal process if you turn somebody down. I'm assuming there would be an appeal they can make. And I'm guessing it'd be this board they would appeal to. Why
There'll
didn't
be
you
a whole
take
new
my,
title in the.
oh my gosh.
Yep, all due process.
Yep.
We'll have all the due process requirements that will apply to this as everything else. So we'll have to take that into account. So I think identifying your commission members sooner rather than later and having them kind of dig into this and identify issues and make recommendations back to this board is going to be really beneficial to the board.
It says you can do that by resolution or ordinance. So maybe if you put that in place, and then they create the bylaws. Isn't that the way the commission was done in the 1970s? And then that board will write the bylaws and all that stuff.
I would think they do their own bylaws. Doesn't say that we have to have the bylaws done and everything by
No,
January 1.
no, it doesn't. And the comp plan, whatever adjustments you have to make to the comp plan is also can be made at any time. But until you do adjust the comp plan, you're stuck with what you currently have, and you may have conflicting definitions, I guess.
Yeah, different conflicting processes.
Yeah.
But for the first board, this is gonna be a lot of work, and I'm trying to think of somebody who could do all that. Just doing the bylaws would be a challenge.
Well, we could kind of pattern them after the P and Z Commission. They don't have
That's
to
what
be.
I'm thinking, get us some examples of different bylaws.
um,
I could probably get some from the health district.
I need to come up with the application fee. Well, and honestly, there's probably already counties that have this in place. And we could probably ask them for what their bylaws are. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel on this one because every county's got to do it. And so therefore, every county's in the process. So I'm sure that Cindy could reach out to her planners or Brian could reach out to the
why are we
civil
just,
attorneys. And
why are we just now getting this?
we're not. We've had it since July.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And Brian's brought it up once, so I thought, okay, it's time. We have to have this conversation.
So this actually says the deadline is to establish the commission. That's kind of how I'm reading it. So we don't have to have the comp plan, the ordinances and everything else amendment.
You do have to be prepared to
Right.
make applications by January 1.
And so you got to have your form in place and
Yeah, which that is why I bring up,
Okay.
you got to make sure that your
Oh, great, that's
definitions are consistent. Because that application, you might get an application on January 1 and you got to be prepared to process it.
Right.
Yep.
Says here, Cindy, each county must adopt an egg protection area ordinance and establish the commission. There's two things there.
Yes, okay, both of them. Got it. I missed that one up there.
I agree with Sherry, you know, there are other counties that have already reinvented this wheel. And get a lot of knowledge from them.
Well, even if you could get some of those draft that they're using and as a template, that would help the new commission kind of get itself
For
started.
the bylaws, yeah.
To ask three old farmers to put this together is not going to go well.
We'll round
So
them
do
up.
we want to do it, you want to go out, like in the newspaper and on social media, and ask people that are interested in this? And find 3 to 5 people? Or do you want to go to Valley Soil and Water, go to Payette Land Trust, you know, go to specific organizations and say, are you interested?
I think we go to the organizations.
So-
We'll get more input quicker than going to the
I
paper.
think you'll have a faster time to get it done if you go right to the individual folks.
I agree.
So if, and here's just a side, if you're reading or interpreting that may include these people, then if you think that that doesn't limit it to that, then you could do your P and Z commission. That's what Owyhee County is doing.
Their P and Z commission?
Yeah, because they said that may means that they don't have to be. And most, all their P and Z commissioners are ag people anyway.
I mean, it's a pretty, in my opinion, it's a pretty simple step. Individual walks in and wants this. That's fairly simple. It's not rocket science. As long as they
I
understand
don't
what
want
they're
there to-
signing up for.
I don't want there to be a conflict of interest on planning and zoning. I think there may be a conflict of interest.
Well, the other thing that I like about the Soil Conservation District is, talks about the applicant has to bring in a map. Well, he's gonna go to the Soil Conservation to get that map. Hey, can you print me out a picture of my farm so I can draw a line around it? So I think it would behoove us to really concentrate on somebody from Soil Conservation District, because they have all that.
Well, they
That's
already
really
have
cool.
administrative support too, so we don't have to provide the administrative support. So we would have to take the applications. But, I mean, if they're willing to do it, that would be,
Maybe one of us needs to go to their next meeting and ask.
If they want to administer it, so they would be the ones doing it instead of planning and zoning.
if we ask them to be the board,
Mhm.
then yes, because they already have an administration. They don't need us to administer anything if they're doing it as part of their regular monthly meeting.
And then they would come to you with the applications.
I think that's the easiest way, and I think that makes the most sense to me, because they have all those different positions on their board. So yes, I could probably go to their next meeting, that'd be November 7th. And ask. To me, that makes the most sense. Maybe I'll reach out. If you guys are okay
I
with
think,
that.
yeah, I think that's a
I'll reach
great
out and
start.
just have a
Starting
conversation
point.
with Dorena and maybe
Yeah.
Art, and just get their impression, their feel for it, and see what their interest level is. Okay, I'll do that.
And-
That's the easiest, most
Okay,
simple.
so you're gonna reach out to them about the commission, and I can work with legal on the comp plan
Revision.
revision, just a short comp plan revision and the ordinance changes, or,
Adopt this, yeah.
the ordinance itself.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that we can do between now and time this gets up and running is make sure that your comp plan, your existing ordinances, and the ordinance you have to create associated with that is coalescing, that they're consistent with one another. And that's something I think Cinda and I can work on together and bring a recommendation back to you for some decisions.
And then the comp plan amendment, I mean, it'll have to go to the planning and zoning commission, so I'll want to have that noticed. We can't get it on till December. And then after their recommendation, then it can come to the board, so it's gonna be end of January before it gets to the board.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we still meet the requirements under the statute if we get those other two things done.
Intent. There's no bonds listed here.
What do you think about that ordinance that states that we're gonna preserve ag ground by putting all of the residential in the WUI?
We can make those changes as we take this through.
I would like to see that done.
Okay.
And
Out of the
that's my
comp plan,
personal
the
opinion.
comp plan that says, we want all of the subdivisions to go out into the wildland urban interface, remove that portion of the comp plan as we go through this. That's my understanding of what you said.
We cannot put all of our subdivisions in the WUI.
Sure we can.
Forest Service is asking us not to do that. Our partners in fire are asking us not to do that. And we can
That's
still
a quick and
protect ag.
easy one.
We can still protect ag.
While the P and Z
Definitely.
Commission continues to work through the comp plan.
You know, one of the things that keeps popping in my mind is this would be a great segue into those ag lands that do sign up. That's your open space. And there should be a value to that. Somewhere down the road, we've got to come to an agreement that there's a value to open space. And maybe it's a reduction in property tax or it's a reimbursement or something, but
And that's what they were going for, was
I think this
when
is
this
where
originally
this is
came
going.
through, was freezing those value increases.
That's gotta be at the state level. We don't have the authority to do that. We can't do
Yeah, I know
anything
it.
that's not
But I
designated.
think that's where this is
Tax
going. If I had to guess.
There's a value to the adjacent properties for sure.
Oh, yeah.
When these are put in place, their values should go up.
Yeah, the issue is gonna be the farm ground next to this new application, this new site. If he doesn't sign up, that value goes way up.
I don't know how they value ag land, so.
Well,
So,
we fill out a form every year, Cinda, and how much
Yeah.
this costs, how much your fertilizer, what was your yield, your harvest costs, all that goes into that valuation. That's how they figure it.
so who's gonna work with the assessor then? I mean, are we gonna rely on whatever board is put in place, or you two are gonna work with the assessor to make sure that we have one cohesive code?
Well, we'll include that in our definitions in the comp plan and ordinances.
Okay.
Because they're pretty tied in with the state,
And they're already really
right?
categorized agriculture already. There's poor class, good class, dryland farming, irrigation farming, irrigated pasture, dryland pasture. I mean,
Gosh, why
they've got
haven't,
it broken out pretty well.
why haven't we used that in
We do.
land use in the past? I mean, that just
We do.
makes sense. Oh, we do? Oh, I
And
don't
there's a
remember
lot-
It's not as a
ever seeing
zone.
that.
There's a lot of egg ground that's in wet in floodplains.
And wetlands.
And
all
wetlands.
that stuff. But yes, we use those categories for issuance of building permits, and we provide all that information to the Planning and Zoning Commission and to you as it goes through the process.
I don't remember seeing that. I'll look for that more specifically.
Yeah.
So.
An example was when we did the McGregor.
Well, and there's other things that we've done too that has helped a lot, like not being able to fill a wetlands or a floodplain and build. We stopped that years ago because we could see that was gonna be, the next ticket is just haul in a bunch of gravel and build everything up 2 feet and then you can do it. And we,
You can still
Happening
mine.
all in all the other counties.
yeah,
They're having problems.
and when it floods, everybody's wet.
Yeah,
And that's a
they're-
great way to secure open space too. And, you know, those are your view corridors too, because all of that's along your waterways.
So my takeaway from this is Oki and I, we already do, will do our amendments to the comprehensive plan, both of those that you've talked about. Get this, a model ordinance in place, an ordinance in place for us to adopt. You guys are gonna reach out to potential commission members and try to get that.
And then I think maybe the commission members will do their own bylaws and create the forms that are needed.
Or, well, the staff would probably do this.
And is there any bylaws we could steal?
Yeah, the P and Z Commission
I'm
I
thinking
think
they're
are really
gonna be
good
close.
bylaws
Well,
because
again,
they tell you how to set it up,
Right.
how to replace
Right.
it.
I think that those bylaws have probably already been written by somebody's legal team in a county. We got 44 counties working on this. Somebody's already farther along than we are for certain.
Well, it talks about, term limits and elections and all that stuff. How do you replace somebody that quits? And
I think we can get that, no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I will take the challenge of reaching out to Soil and Water and starting there.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we're gonna take about a 8-minute break and we'll be back here at 10:45 for mitigation bids. Back on, please. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're at our 10:45 agenda. This is bid openings for East McCall. Mari, you want to explain this one?
So this is unit 3 for East McCall, 10 acres. This one's right off of Elo Road. Same specs as all my other couple. So linen, mulching. But it's a really good spot, which I'm pretty excited about because it's right off that main Elo Road.
How far is it past Sampson?
It's one of the closest parcels next to Sampson. So right when you're going up to the top of the hill,
Okay.
have you ever seen that old decrepit wood stack that's off to your left-hand side? That's that parcel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're starting to get some good headway right there off of Elo Road. So I have
On the north side of the road or?
Yep, north side.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so the first bid is from John Lydrickson, Specialized Land Works. And this bid is for 2,350 times 10 acres, should be pretty easy
2,350
per acre.
per acre.
23,500 total.
23,000. Okay.
The next one is from D&D Tree Services. And this bid came in at 2,375. So 23,750. That's great. The bids are getting closer and closer. Okay, the third bid, let me see here. This bid is from Kayla Miller.
Which is what?
Jeffrey Miller.
Jeffrey Miller Excavation?
Jeffrey Miller Excavation.
Okay.
And this bid is for $2,200 per acre. 2,200. So that'd be 22,000.
Okay.
And the last bid is from Baron Loper. Oops, so I just sliced this bid. Okay, this is from Baron Loper, and this bid is 2,275.
22,075 or 750.
22,750?
Well, that's exciting that we've got a fifth that
Yes.
talking about giving stuff in line.
So the other couple that have been coming in and out are all hand thinners. And so they've been bidding on the last few jobs and just realized that their bids are just so high. And so that's kind of what we're seeing is that's why he didn't submit one is he realized that it might be too high to win an award. So
These are all close.
The Jeffrey Miller Excavation looks like our low bid. Do you have anything that?
Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the Jeffrey Miller Excavation of 2,200 per acre, a total of 22,000.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to award the bid to Jeffrey Miller Excavation for $2,200 per acre or 22,000. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. I'll have to mark each one of these, I forgot.
So I didn't hit accepted or whatever on the end there, but.
No.
Oh, I love that. That is awesome. What you got for stuff? Cool. Thank you for all of that.
Oh,
Yeah. doesn't even want a cake, so. It's there for.
That's the whole point.
Exactly. You are depriving the rest of us of cake. I just want you to know.
Oh,
How much money do you?
oh, chocolate ribbon cake.
Oh, awesome.
What's that called?
Where you get that made?
I sat through
Oh, cool.
a webinar last week on air burner.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Technology that they're using for us, or we buy
All right, that's all I
Do you
got.
have enough for that from these guys?
the same technology.
Because I don't have my wallets in my. Doug, we got 9 minutes. Let's go mute, and we'll see everybody back here at 11 o'clock for Yeshua subdivision. Cindy, oh, you're doing this one.
Sir.
Okay, let us get back on.
This is City of McCall's new planner.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're at our 11 o'clock agenda item. This is an action item. This is Yeshua subdivision final plat in the impact area. So I'll turn it over to you and you can tell us what we got.
Thank you, Chairman. Meredith Todd, new city planner and sustainability planner for the city of McCall and area of impact. Brian has moved on to be the community development director in Bellevue of Idaho, not Washington. So now you get me. I'll ask for your mercy while I catch up with what in the world is going on in this place.
What's your name again?
Meredith.
Meredith?
Yes, that's me all day long.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sherry. So what you have before you today is the final plat request for the Yeshua subdivision located on Stockton Drive. I believe since the preliminary plat of this application for a 1 to 2 lot new subdivision, they have engaged in a road maintenance agreement with the county because it's on the capital improvement project. So that is complete. They had to do a minimal amount of stormwater drainage engineering because there's a major drainage course that runs through the property, but they've gotten that approved by the city engineer. And beyond that, it's a pretty simple request for 1 lot into 2 lots. The reason it had to do a full subdivision plat process is it's the remainder lot of a previous subdivision of a larger block in the West Place subdivision, I believe back in the early 2000s. So once a lot ceases to be a lot of record for definition purposes, it needs to undergo a new platting process to make sure that all of the agencies have capacity within groundwater, surface water, water rights, whatever else is left. So this has been tested for septic systems and it perks well on each of the lots. They will have a shared driveway between the two eventually when those are in, as well as shared utility boxes. Other than that, they did have to change the name from the Stockton subdivision to what they chose was Yeshua, as Stockton has been chosen too many times for the addressing standards in the area. And with that, I did provide you guys the corrected updated plat in your packets that I sent you. I sent their original submission for this final plat, which had the wrong indicators for which planning and zoning commission. So if you should make a motion today, it would be whatever your motion is with the added condition of approval to correct the plat signature page as described in this meeting, which would be to change Valley County Planning and Zoning Commission to McCall area, as that was the recommending body on this application. And they did recommend it for approval unanimously to you guys. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
So Meredith, you don't have the Mylars today, is that
No.
correct?
Nope, they have not been
Those will be
printed yet.
forthcoming.
Correct.
When do we get to see the development agreement?
I think that was already completed in the preliminary plat process.
Yeah, I got it. Can you guys have that?
I believe so, and I think Cinda and Jeff have a copy as well.
You know when you sent that?
Oh gosh, at least 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I can find it for you though.
Conditions of approval, blah, blah, blah.
Meredith, you just made a statement that they have a shared driveway.
Yep.
So I see a driveway on lot 2, and I had read that lot 1 was going to go ahead and access Stockton Drive. So is there truly a shared driveway, or do they have their own separate entrances?
I believe they're both supposed to be accessing off of the same driveway entrance on Stockton. But they'll turn that in when they submit for their building permit applications.
Yeah, they're showing it on this paperwork you gave us.
Shows each lot here.
Since they're doing a shared driveway, it'd probably have to be right on the lot line, I would think.
Yep.
I'm not seeing, that's what I'm missing on the plat. Is I'm not seeing a call out for a driveway at all.
Yeah, they chose not to plat it on the plat itself. They're just saving that for the building process, but their plan is to share it because it's 2 families that are the same. They're cousins or something.
So is it in that center lot line then,
I think
where it's
so.
proposed?
Yep. And if it's not, then they'll have to do a cross-access agreement, but that can be done privately with their own attorneys.
They're not sharing well or septic. They're having their own well and septic.
No, I believe they're just sharing their power utility box.
It's the power.
So on a shared driveway, we normally require some kind of a document that says that they're going to share that, and also that you don't have conflict in the future.
Yep.
Do you guys require that?
Yep, at the point of the building permit being pulled, that's when we pull it.
I don't have a problem with this.
I don't either.
I
The
know exactly
driveways
where
are
it's at,
concerning me,
so.
but
I think, as Meredith said, just including your motion to approve that it's not the Valley County Planning and Zoning, it's McCall Area Planning and Zoning.
Commissioners, I don't know if you want to hear from Jesse Christensen, but he just emailed me requesting a Teams invite.
Okay, let's see if we can get him on.
Okay, bear with me.
is that,
He's the applicant engineer.
He's the applicant's what?
Engineer.
Oh, engineer.
so this is the question, because it specifically states the area of the subdivision is approximately 2.37 acres. 2 residential lots are proposed. Lot 1 will take access directly off Stockton Drive, and Lot 2 will take access off the private road that runs south of May Road on the east section of the property. So they're accessing in 2 different points,
Mr. Christensen?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
and that was the question for me is it far enough apart between those access points? It does look like it on this plat that there won't be an issue. But I just want to make sure that was addressed as proper access. I'm not seeing.
So Jess, I guess the question is, we don't see on the plat, the actual shared driveway and access to Stockton Drive. Is that coming, or what's the plan there?
On the plat, what was the question? I apologize.
It shows that it's a shared driveway. Is that correct, onto Stockton?
No, they should have individual driveways on to Stockton.
It doesn't show on the plat.
I don't know that you need it, but is Lot 1 currently accessing Stockton? I mean, is the driveway already there for Lot 1, and then Lot 2 is adding the driveway?
Nothing's built yet
Okay.
for
Right.
driveways. Is
So there is
the
not-
northerly or the easterly parcel going on that stretch of driveway that's owned by the parcel owner to the east, Jesse, or was it going to be constructed separately?
If you give me 30 seconds, I apologize. I thought I had an invite and then I didn't. So I had a little freak out this morning trying to get into this room. I apologize. Let me get the construction drawings up that have been approved by the city, and I can show you what the access points are going to look like.
I always prefer shared driveways, but just so that you do have just one access point. So when they're this close together, I was hoping for that, but, so there is no current residential structure on this. Okay.
They're not.
One to the west, and there's one to the east. There's nothing in between. There's a horse.
There is a agreement, I think, between you guys and the owners for the shared maintenance agreement, I think. I was not part of getting that approved.
That's what I'm questioning. The shared maintenance agreement is not necessary unless they're sharing a driveway. And I just didn't see a driveway call out. So usually
Right.
when you have utility easements, that's not your driveway. Just
Right.
used to see
Uh.
driveway.
There it is, finally. So this is, can I share my screen? Is that possible? I'm gonna give it a shot.
Worked.
There you go.
Very good. Okay, so this is from the construction documents that have been provided and the preliminary plat that was approved, each driveway. This private driveway that was built on my client's property without, well, I don't think it really had any approvals. We have two separate individual driveways to each home with a drain field in between for each lot in between the homes. We had to compensate for culverts that were installed under this road and provide additional stormwater retention before it, as we cross the property, to ensure we're not flooding out the neighbors. I guess one of the problems this lot had in the past was water would collect here and pond, so we put in two private stormwater basins in there. But on the driveway, we have two individual driveways located here and here.
Okay.
And how far apart are those accesses? About 400 feet,
Difficult.
300 feet?
Yes, yeah, probably 300 feet.
And is that drain field designation, is that big enough to hold a field and a replacement field?
Yes, yeah, that is big enough to hold the main field and the replacement field. It's been a very long time since we sent this over to Central District Health, Mike Reno, for his review. He's ready to sign the plat as far as I know. I think he has the final set of construction drawings, but yeah, that is the main area and the backup area.
Jess, do you have a copy of the development agreement that you made with the road department?
I could probably track it down. It was sent over to the city. I know that the owners had attended the Valley County or the road department meeting. I can, yes, let me see if I can find it for you and get it over to you. Who would like a copy of that?
Just send it to either Meredith or us, just one copy, just so we can look at it, but I think we need to see how that turned out.
All right. I'm looking while we're in this room to see if I can.
It's a
track
big room.
Go ahead.
It's a big room. You got a lot of people behind you waiting to come in.
Yeah. Oh, this is my Ford Field. The Lions played yesterday and won. So I will find that at Valley County Road Agreement, and I will get that to you. It's not popping up right away in my email, so I will track that down. Meredith or Brian Parker should have had a copy of that, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'm sure it's in our file structure. I just don't know where to look quite yet. But I know Brian said as he was leaving, it's done and recorded.
So I guess my
Yeah.
concern, Meredith, is, in order to approve the final plat, we really need to have that part of the package. We need to go ahead and approve that pending.
Got it.
I don't believe you do because you already approved it with the preliminary plat.
Now, this is
That is headed to Meredith right now. Did you have somebody else?
Can you
in
roll that
mind?
up? Can you roll that page up? That's all we need to
Yep.
do to read it.
I can certainly. Oh, it's up right now.
Can you scroll
I think
through?
yes.
Go ahead and send it to Doug
Is that what
Miller
you have,
as
Lori?
well.
All right.
Bring it on up. Thanks, Lori. You're kind of handy.
You're listening out there. Thanks, Lori.
I just sent it to Meredith. I can add Doug Miller as well.
Yeah, and we just got a hard copy from P and Z.
Oh, right on.
No, there's no right away. That was my question. So the staff recommendations from Jeff was this developer has agreed to expand the voluntary funds on Stockton Drive as in-kind contribution. They have agreed to hire a contractor to apply a road mix on the road from Sampson Trail to a point where the funds are expended. The dollar amount is $3,520 per lot, times two, which is $7,040. They'll provide detailed invoices for that work, and they are to notify the road department when that work begins. Anybody else want to look at this?
That's fine.
That works great.
Good.
Hey, is there any more questions for Jess or Meredith?
I'm good.
If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the final plat. Make sure you add in there that it is not the Valley County Planning and Zoning, but the McCall Area Impact Zoning.
Chairman, I would move that we approve the final plat for the Yeshua subdivision to be determined Stockton Drive with the notation that there is a correct plat signature page showing that it is the McCall Area Impact Area on that signature page. And with the addition of the road development agreement as presented.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Does that work, Meredith? You get everything you want?
I think you have to take the actual vote.
Well, I understand that.
Works for me though. Thank you, Chairman.
Before we take that vote, do you want anything changed?
No, I feel good.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the final plat for Yeshua subdivision. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Jess, for all your help. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Do you have anything you need from me? Before I head back to.
I'm assuming the Mylars will be coming down the road.
Yep, I think he'll fix those typos and then he's going on the scavenger hunt.
Okay,
Meredith, when would you like me to set it for the findings of facts to be signed?
Those are included in the packet. So with that amended condition, I think that they're good to go.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Actually,
try
you don't-
and
I don't
not
think you would
cause
schedule.
multiple meetings.
Sign it today.
just bring whatever they're bringing in, we can sign it.
Yep, I think if you need me to send you a clean version, I can do that later this afternoon. Okay. And then as you guys see me more, my goal is to consolidate trips. I know that Brian liked to separate things. I'm gonna try and only do findings later, item before, if it's a really, really complicated one. Because I feel like that's a lot of scheduling to do.
Well, and the one thing that we've asked Brian, and he's done better over the years, is get it to us more
Really,
than just a day or two before
Yeah.
the decision,
yeah.
so we have time to read it and look at it.
Yeah.
So give us plenty of time.
Yeah, I had a
Yeah,
good
so-
meeting with Doug's office last week or 2 weeks ago to figure out how can I make you guys happy, and I think I'm gonna try and give like a month's notice as much as I possibly
Good.
can.
Good.
700 pages is a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we do at our weekend is read everything, at least
Okay.
me.
On the big ones, at least give
Yep.
us that. Smaller ones, a week is fine.
Okay.
But
Can do. All right, well then
Okay.
I'm back to the fun place or whatever it is.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
So our next agenda item is not till 11:30. So we will go mute and see everyone back here at 11:30.
Chairman, we're unmuted.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are at our 11:30 action item. Hannah, welcome. This is to approve certify the tax bills for the 2024-25 season. I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have completed our initial draft of the special assessments to be certified to the tax bills for 2024. And I've provided you with a summary of those charges. The total of all of the charges is $3,018,707.56. And per Idaho State Code, I'm required to have you approve charges that are placed on the tax bills that are not levied tax. So I'm here today to answer any questions you might have about these or explain in further detail if necessary.
I got tons of questions.
All right, let's hear them.
This is the first time I've seen this.
Okay.
So special details into the cadastry. I don't know, I probably didn't pronounce that right.
Cadaster, yep.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, so the cadaster is it's an assessor term for the grouping of properties that are going to be assessed a special fee. I don't actually know the definition of cadaster, but it's if you were to ask the assessor, you know, what they're working on, they would say, oh, well, the cadaster. So it's kind of like a word that describes the grouping of properties that we're looking at assessing.
So they're taking like I know where you're going with this, is that should do one into the valley this year and next year should do the middle or next the fall. She does different sections. Is that what you're talking about?
I believe it's all of the properties in their entirety. And Sue would be better able to answer the question than I will be able to. But it's essentially all of the properties within our system. So this is the 2024 grouping of properties that we're looking at building taxes for.
Tax base for.
Mhm.
So these are ones that are additional charges on tax bills other than the property taxes themselves. So like when I get my bill, I can look at it and I get all the taxing levies that are on there, but I also get my trash bill.
Mhm.
As a residential is like what, 115, 120, something like that. So these are a compilation of all of the additional fees that people are going to be charged on their taxes that are not tax levies from districts.
That's why you have solid waste fee, you have.
And Joanna, the solid waste figures, those are the updated ones that we approved, what, 2 years ago?
Yep, in 2022, we did a resolution to change the commercial solid waste fees. And that established these 7 different tiers of solid waste fees that you see. And so this is using the new resolution. The residential solid waste fee stayed the same at 110 per residential parcel.
I'm surprised jug handles LID is only 951. Is that like to the end of it? Is it almost paid off?
No, so we bill and collect the jug handle LID separately. It's like a separate function of the treasurer's office. If a property owner becomes delinquent, they're due in April. If they become delinquent, we send them a reminder letter in June demanding that it's paid by the end of July. If they miss that, we send them a final notice in August saying that their fee will be certified to their tax bill
That's
for failure to pay.
So this is just the amount that's past due then.
Correct. So in only one property of all of the jug handle properties didn't pay.
We're just a clearinghouse for that money. They're not actually paying us.
Correct. That's how most of the taxing districts work, aside from the the solid waste, commercial and residential, and the Valley County taxes that we levy.
Okay.
So what is the forest charge in the FPA? Will you remind us what that is?
Yeah. Idaho Department of Lands collects a special assessment fee, and I can't remember the Idaho Code chapter, but it's essentially a fee that goes toward funding fire suppression. So the money goes to fund SITPA, Southern Idaho Timber Protection Association, and for their firefighting efforts. Mm-hmm.
So this year, and that includes that FPA. So this year they got almost $500,000 to fight fires. Oh,
Yes.
That's
Mhm.
interesting.
And it's similar every year, so that fee hasn't changed a whole lot over the course of the last few years. Total this year, we're looking at $471,326.44.
Nice.
That money comes from, well,
So,
I get a bill every year from SIPA
mhm.
for the forest charge, and mine, in my case, I don't know, it's around 800 or 900 acres, and it's $380 a year
it's coming from
from the private timber landowners.
Yes, so
And that's what
Idaho,
keeps SIPA solvent.
yes. Idaho Department of Lands does an assessment and they have a fee schedule that they determine independently. And they just send the treasurer's office the fees that they would like to be certified to property taxes.
Okay.
And I
So
think, correct me if I'm wrong, Joanna, but the FPA Forest Practice Act, when you log timber, $4 a thousand is taken out of, so an average logging truck has around 4,000. So it's every load, $16 comes back, and they hold that. And you can either burn it and take care of it yourself and get that money back as a landowner, or you can pay SIPA to come in and do it, and they get paid. They get that money.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be a question for IDL.
That's kind of how it works.
Okay.
That's a law that has to happen to clean up the piles and burn stuff. And
Mhm.
any damage to creeks, all that stuff is considered in there. But that comes out of your paycheck from the mail.
Interesting. Okay.
So
That
their
work?
Valley County Rec's up to 313,000.
They had a 5% increase on their fee this year.
You know what is it $92?
No, it is $101.44.
So when they went up 5%, aren't they limited to the 3% cap?
They are not. There's a specific section of code that allows them to increase their fees by up to 5%. They go through a public
And then
hearing process.
After that, they have to have the public above 5%.
Every time they increase it, they have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
Yep. So we have, in conjunction with working with the clerk on the preparation of their L2s, we get their meeting minutes and their meeting notices and their published budget and all of that.
So they're going to levy 313,551 off that fee.
Correct. Not levy, but impose.
Impose. Whatever.
Okay.
You guys all good with that? If you are, I would entertain a motion to approve the tax bills to be certified.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2024 specials certified to the tax bills.
I'll second.
In a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
All right.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the,
And clarity, and then just in clarity, we weren't certifying the tax bills. This is just the specials to be certified.
Specials.
Correct. So the special fees or special assessments to be certified to the tax bills. And just
So
a
that was correct on the record.
point of interest, we will, the tax commission is required to get us the levies by next Monday, the 28th. So we will be starting the tax bill preparation process as soon as we get those. So get them done as quick as possible.
Thanks.
thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Our next agenda item is an action item. Aiden, come on up. Good to see you again. The Avalanche Beacon Check Station final approval.
Did you get burned up? It was when I saw this, I went, I bet he lost everything.
Nope, it's not in yet, but I have final designs I should have given to the clerk, but I can give to you now.
Yeah, come on up.
It might be a good thing it wasn't in yet. May not be any trees to touch or anything
Oh,
too,
cool.
but.
So anything else you want to add?
This sign, it'll be a memorial for a guy named Gary Hoffer. His family snowmobiled here for a long time, and when he passed away, they donated a lot of money to the Snowmobile Club, and I decided to do this project with the money. And it'll be mounted on two 4x4, 6x6 posts, and you'll be able to take it down every year to maintain the quality of the sign. It'll be made of like a artificial plastic, and then it'll be like a sheet metal towards the top. The mountains will be sheet metal. But
So are you gonna get the rec district to take it down, or who's gonna do that?
that's still
I think
gonna have to be
we-
decided and written in.
Yeah, we need to write that in to make sure they take that down. That
Yep.
sign's maintained.
This individual killed snowmobiling?
No, he just passed away and his family wanted to remember him here.
What's the size? About this size of the paper?
No, it'll be, I can tell you the exact dimensions.
And my grandson's father was caught over there in, what was that, Fairfield?
Mm-hmm.
An avalanche, and had all the stuff on him, but they couldn't get to him in time. It was a sad day.
It's just all about being able to get there in time. Every second counts.
Yep.
Gotta find the right email account. It'll be roughly a 2x4 design because the box, like I showed you, the box is about the size of this paper. And so the sign will be 4 foot tall and 2 foot wide on the post. But hopefully we can get it mounted up in a place that'll be good, access all riders, and make sure everybody's safe on the mountain.
You know where you have an idea where you guys can put this, like at one of the places where they, like lower elevation or the higher elevation parking lots?
It'll be at the Anderson Creek Snow Park, probably somewhere above the cattle guard. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
Mhm.
above the cattle guard to catch all the people that bypass the parking lot off the lake.
Sure.
Great idea.
So-
Congratulations, good project.
Yeah, great project. Our motion then today is to approve the concept in this sign and
Yep.
allow you to proceed. So I'll go ahead and make the motion. We approve the final design of the Avalanche Beacon Check Station and congratulate Hayden on all the hard work he's done.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Bring your mentor with you, or is he the one gonna do all the work?
He just tagged along.
He tagged along.
He's ballast in the boat.
He's retired. He needs something to do.
Yeah, there you go.
When I get lazy and I'm like, oh, I don't know. He's like, no, you gotta keep going.
Is this grandpa? Is that what this is?
Close. One of the many.
One of the
That's
many?
Take your pick.
That's
Well, let's hope we get a lot of snow this year.
Oh, man.
It snows and snows and snows. It would be great.
Hope we need to use it. Hopefully it'll be put to good use.
Gary Hofer and his family had one of those cabins over there at West Mountain Lodge. They are from eastern Washington, and so they would come down here and go snowmobiling because they don't have a lot of good snow up there. They have slush.
Yeah.
And they came down here for years. And he passed away, and boy, he had a strong following of his family.
That's awesome.
Donate that money.
It's good.
Good cause.
Good
Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully we can get the sign designed and have it up before snow flies. We're getting down to the last final.
Yeah, you got a few weeks, but not many more.
They say get her done.
Yeah, fast.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you guys. Okay, this being the last agenda item during our